emotionally. I was already highly intrigued about visiting Jill's home, irresistible for the detective and the psychologist. Sarah Rosen's apartment was on the 5th floor of a 10-story building. It was bright, with a view of an interior courtyard. The FBI was already at work inside. We would examine every inch of the unit. The woman who had lived here had helped to murder President Thomas Burns. Sarah Rosen's apartment had historical importance now. Her den had been used as an editing room for their film. For as long as this building stood, people would point at it and say, "That's where Jill lived." Several frames on the wall contained matted Christmas cards and letters from White House notables, the current press secretary, the chief of staff, even a brief note from Nancy Reagan. Sarah Rosen was a secret star fucker, I was thinking. Had Jack been a star for her? Was Jack really Kevin Hawkins? Talk to us, Jill. I know you want to talk. Tell us what really happened. If I found one indisputable piece of truth, just one, all the rest would follow, and we would finally understand. I started in on the massive collection of books that dominated every room in the apartment. Sarah had been a voracious reader, mostly literature and history, nearly all of it American. Sarah the intellectual, Sarah the real smart cookie. I opened each book, then carefully shook it out. There were handwritten pages of notes stuffed into some of the books. I read every loose scrap. There were several videotapes of movies in the den. Sarah Rosen's film collection featured well-known romances, mystery thrillers, and romantic thrillers. She also seemed to like older movies, especially noir mysteries, Raymond Chandler, James Cain, Hitchcock. I opened every single cassette, row by row. I thought it was important, especially with someone as orderly as Sarah. I opened a box for Hitchcock's Suspicion and found an unmarked cassette inside. Curious, I popped it into the VCR. The film wasn't Suspicion. I found myself looking at footage of the murder of Senator Daniel Fitzpatrick. This was apparently the uncut version. The extra footage was even more disturbing and graphic than what had been viewed on the TV news network. The fear in Senator Fitzpatrick's voice was terrible to bear. He begged the killers for his life. Then he began to sob loudly. I jabbed at the pause button. Jackpot! The next shot in the film had started tight on Senator Fitzpatrick, then pulled out to a wide angle, maybe wider than intended. The tape showed Jack as he fired the second shot. The killer wasn't Kevin Hawkins. I suddenly wondered if Jill had left the tape here for someone to find. Had she suspected that she might be betrayed? Was this Jill's payback? I thought that maybe it was. Jill had fucked Jack straight from hell. The FBI, Secret Service, and the Washington police worked closely together on a massive manhunt. They all wanted a piece of this one badly. Early on the morning of December 20th, I watched Jack through a pair of binoculars. I couldn't take my eyes off the killer and mastermind. I wanted to take him down. I wanted him for myself. But this was Jay Grayer's day. His show. His plan of action. Jack was just walking out of a 3-story colonial house. He went to a bright red Ford Bronco that sat in a circular driveway. By now, we knew nearly everything about him. Now we understood a lot more about Jack and Jill. Our eyes had been opened very, very wide. Jack was herding along a small boy and girl, very cute kids. He looked like the perfect suburban Washington dad, down to his blue plaid shirt and stone-washed dungarees. The president's assassin. The stone-cold killer of several political enemies. He was just about the perfect American killer. He was a daddy, a husband, clean-cut as could be. He even had alibis, though none of them would hold up because of the film footage of his shooting Senator Fitzpatrick. "Get ready to follow Jack," Grayer spoke into a handheld mic in our car. "You know, Alex, I still don't get it. What makes Jack run? Why did he do it?" "Money," I told him. A theory I had. Look for the money. It cuts through and simplifies all the other stuff. A little politics, a little cause, and a lot of money. Hard to beat in this venal day and age. I think he's probably acquainted with some people with a lot of money and power, but not as much power as they would like to have. The Bronco took off and we followed it at a comfortable distance. Jack was a careful driver of his valuable cargo. He's taking the kids to the day school. His life is back to normal now. He just helped execute a president. No biggie. Life goes on. Jack had been a full colonel, a war hero in Desert Storm. Now he probably believed he'd gotten away with several murders in another just war, that he was a soldier hero known only to God. Jack dropped the two children off at the school and kissed them goodbye. Jay Grayer spoke into the hand mic again. He's leaving the Bayard-Wellington school now. He's turning back onto the main road. We'll take him down to the stoplight ahead. Just one imperative. We take him alive. Grayer offered up a crooked smile. We both understood why. The good part was coming now. The only good part in this whole affair. Let's get this son of a bitch. Jay Grayer and I eased up right behind Jack's trendy off-road vehicle. We had 4 mainline vehicles, another half-dozen cars, and 2 helicopters for backup. I didn't see how Jack could escape. I was thinking ahead to the massive ramifications of the assassin's capture and the even more shocking surprise still to come. We take him down on 3, Grayer said into his hand mic. I was one of the 6 who jumped out of the intercept car and stopped at the light. It was an honor. I got to the passenger door of his vehicle as the Secret Service agent yanked open the driver's door. Jack turned toward me, and he got to look right into the wide-eyed barrel of my Glock. Don't move! Don't even breathe too hard, I said to him. He hadn't been expecting us. I could tell that by the shock spread across his face. He thought he was home free. Secret Service, you're under arrest. You have the right to remain silent, and that's a real good idea. One of the agents barked at Jack. The agent's face was bright red with outrage at this man who had murdered President Thomas Burns. At first, Jack had been startled, but now he became calm. It was astonishing to see the calmness and cool take hold. I shouldn't have been surprised. This was the real Jack. This was the president's killer.
Very good,
he finally said, commending us for our professionalism. It made my blood boil. He slowly got out of the vehicle. Both his hands were held up high.
How much do you know?
We didn't answer him. It was our turn to play games. Now we had a few surprises for Jack. He was only the beginning. As we rode back to Jack's house on Oxford Street, we knew we were finally at the beginning of the awful mystery. This was where it all had started, at this house just coming into view. Jay Grayer spoke into the car's hand mic. Dr. Cross and I will go the front door route. No shooting. Not even return fire if you can help it. The two of us hurried up the red brick front walkway together. The big house seemed so innocent and appealing. Children's bikes were neatly stacked on the porch. Jay Grayer rang the doorbell, and it sounded like the Avon calling bell. The door was answered by a woman wearing a red plaid robe that looked as if it came straight out of the J. Crew catalog. Finally, here was real Jill. Alex? Jay? My God, what is it? Don't tell me this is a social visit. Jean Sterling stood just inside the front door of her house. I could see a tall stack of gift-wrapped Christmas presents piled near a desk in the foyer. Jill's house, the Inspector General of the CIA. Clean Jean. What's happened? Please, come in. We walked inside the house that she shared with her 3 children and with her husband, with Jack. I noticed details. Everything seemed important, telling evidence. The accents of the house communicated world travel, French etchings, Flemish weavings, Chinese porcelain. There's an old saying in classic mysteries, cherchez la femme, look for the woman. I had my own catchphrase for solving many modern-day mysteries. Cherchez l'argent, look for the money. I didn't believe that Jean Sterling and her husband had acted on their own. How much had they received for disposing of a troublesome United States president? And who had given them the money? Cherchez l'argent. Maybe Jean would tell us if we twisted her arm a little, which I definitely planned to do. Who would gain the most from the murder of President Thomas Burns? The vice president? Now the president? Wall Street? Organized crime? The CIA? We've arrested your husband, Brett, for the murder of the president. Jay Grayer told her in a cold, flat voice. "We have him in custody right now. We're here to arrest you."
Alex, Jay, what are you saying? Neither of you is making any sense.
Oh, sure we are, Jean. Sarah Rosen kept a dub of the footage of Senator Fitzpatrick's murder at her apartment in D.C. Your husband is on the tape. She knew about Sarah, of course. In the last few days, we had discovered that Sarah Rosen had been a CIA spy inside the White House for 8 years. That was how Jack had found her, and knew she would be loyal. She was extremely right-wing. Jean's eyes narrowed.
The president was a foolish amateur who wanted to dismantle intelligence and the military. He would have destroyed this country. I don't care what you believe about us. My husband and I are patriots. Are we clear on that?
Jay Grayer let her finish before he spoke again. You and your husband are slimy traitors. You're both murderers. Are we clear? A sudden, deafening shot rang out. Jay Grayer's body arched. He fell back against the kitchen counter. Jean Sterling had shot him point blank. She had a gun hidden in her robe. She turned the gun on me. I was already diving down behind the kitchen counter. She fired anyway, and kept firing as she backed away from the kitchen. Then she ran. I quickly moved to where Jay had gone down. He was wounded near the collarbone, but conscious.
Just get her, Alex. Get her alive. They know everything.
I heard a noise in the direction of the garage. A car engine was being started. Jill was getting away. My chest was thundering, ready to explode. My heart had gone icy cold. I ran down the hall to the garage door, yanked it open, and jumped out. Instantly, I heard 3 gunshots. I hit the concrete floor hard. I saw Jean Sterling leaning out of the window of her station wagon. She had a semi-automatic clutched in one hand. She also had her youngest daughter with her. Her 3-year-old, Karen. She knew we wouldn't shoot with the girl in the way. The little girl was screaming loudly. How could Jean Sterling do this to a child? "Jean, put the goddamn gun down! Your little girl is in danger!" No answer came back. Would Jean Sterling really sacrifice her own child? For what? For money? A cause she and her husband believed in? What cause could be worth the life of a president or your own child? I fired a deafening shot into the car windshield, the driver's far side. Glass shattered all over the garage. Karen was sobbing and screeching. I could see Jean Sterling through the mosaic of broken windshield glass. There was blood all over one side of her face. She looked startled and shocked. It's one thing to plan a murder, quite another to take a hit. I grabbed the car door and yanked it open. I grabbed a full handful of Jean Sterling's blonde hair, then I hit her. I popped Jean with a full, hard shot. She sagged over the steering wheel. We had her now. I had taken her down alive. We finally had Jack and Jill. The night of the capture of Jean and Brett Sterling, the television networks were filled with a powerful, highly disturbing story. I watched the dramatic 3-ring TV circus along with Nana and Damon. There was a non-stop parade of news features on the assassination and the subsequent capture of the real Jack and Jill. I appeared in several film sequences. "So, Damon," I said to my young cub, "do you approve of your pop?" Damon grinned ear to ear.
Pretty good,
he admitted. "You want to give me a hug?" He did. So I knew Damon was happy with me for the moment. That was important to me. The next morning, I was up to take Damon over to the Sojourner Truth School. I stopped by Christine Johnson's office, but she wasn't back at work yet. I hoped she was going to be all right. At 8:45, the phone rang. It was Jay Grayer.
"Alex, you have to come out to Lorton Prison," he said in an urgent-sounding voice. "Please, come. Right now."
I broke every posted speed limit traveling out to the federal prison in Virginia. Lorton was where the Sterlings were being held in custody until their trial for the murder of Thomas Burns. I met Jay Grayer and Warden Marion Campbell on the 4th floor of the prison building. They looked as pale as the institution's stucco walls. Police and prison personnel were posted outside an examination room. Grayer, Campbell, and I filed inside. My heart was in my throat. We had to wear blue surgical masks